I'm Melisa Kamibayashi-Staples. I'm the president of the Ottawa Japanese Community Association. I was born right here in Ottawa and raised right here in Ottawa. I'm third generation Japanese Canadian, which means that my grandparents on both sides came to Canada over a century ago, and both my parents were born in Vancouver. So we have a number of holiday traditions in my family, but one of the main ones is that every year we try to get a new game or board game of some kind. And we have a tendency to just make the rules up as we go. If we don't like the rules, we will change them. So, growing up, when I was really little, we had this box of hanafuda, which is it's basically like the Japanese version of a deck of cards. But all the cards look like different seasons. They represent different seasons. And I think that's where it all started, was that we just took this box of hanafuda and we had no idea what to do with it, what the traditional game was that you played with it. So we just made it up as we went. We just decided we just have to like turn over the cards until you find all the pairs of the same grouping, except we didn't know what all the cards were of each grouping. So we were just like, that looks like it matches. Yeah, okay, sure. So it was really just about having fun. One of the games I remember is one that was called Survivor, back when that TV show was really, really popular. And essentially, the game was similar to the TV show. So you get voted off the board game, I guess. And so generally, once you got kicked off, you couldn't play the game anymore. And then everybody else kept playing. And then my family was like, well, that's no fun. You get kicked off. Nobody gets kicked off the island. Like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose, guys. But so nobody got kicked off the island and everyone just kept playing until we got tired. So that's generally what we do. Another tradition is actually one that I have with my son, which is that every year I give him a different Christmas ornament. So I think it's really because it's a tradition of mine that, again, I did with my father growing up, which is decorating the Christmas tree together and having these mementos, having your ornament that it's something that to remember that year by. So some of the ones are I did glass blowing and I made a glass ornament for him one year. Another year, it was actually Nora Nishikawa here at the Japanese Cultural Center who made a felt heart that has a snowman on it. And so that was one that I gave him. There was another one, again, Nora, who made this beautiful ball that has a little origami crane inside, tsuru inside. And we also have that one. So they're things that remind us of community or of maybe like we have Spider-Man too, things like that. So we also have things that remind us of a movie that we watched from that year or something that reminds us of an activity that we did together. So many. I mean, I know that for many, food is a big tradition in any family. So ours, we also we had like futomaki. We made futomaki. We also made sure to have the fish with the head on it, with that curved back, because from my understanding, it's supposed to represent old age and good luck. And so we would sometimes have sort of traditional foods. My dad would always make sure is it New Year's Day, that we would eat soba noodles. So soba noodles was a tradition in the New Year, and Christmas Day was always waffles. So it's like, I guess we had our Canadian part of it, which is the waffles, definitely with real maple syrup, and then the Japanese side of it, which was soba noodles. Being in Ottawa, I think over the years, mochi has become essential at this time of year. And I almost feel incomplete if I don't have a fresh piece of mochi. It's not the same thing as store-bought. It really, I want it to be made by community members. And I have to say, this year, unfortunately, I had to miss Mochitsuki. But luckily, I had a relative bring me a fresh plate of mochi home that day. And I think I almost had tears because there was just something really special about the way that the mochi tasted this year. It just seemed like perfection, and the feel of it, the taste of it, and just biting it. It reminds me, like, to me, it's that word that one of the only Japanese words I know, natsukashi. So it was very natsukashi. It just brought back memories and really made me think of all the years that have gone by and all the different generations that have worked so hard to maintain this tradition here in Ottawa, which I understand doesn't exist really in Japan anymore. So it's a piece of Japanese culture that we are keeping alive right here in Ottawa, and tasting it every year is just the best. So it's interesting when I look back recently of my memories of community. I don't recall there being Mochitsuki as a child. What I recall is there just being like community gatherings, small groups of people, adults and children, and it would be more traditional, like Western style holiday season stuff. So we would have Santa Claus there, and Santa Claus would give out gifts. We usually knew it was likely somebody's dad, we probably my dad, and we would also have quiz games. And I realized, like, the quiz games weren't of Japanese culture or Japanese Canadian history or anything. It was really pop culture or Canadian culture. And I still remember some of the same people now at Mochitsuki, which has since become a big part of every year. I feel like it can't be complete without a little piece of mochi and bringing community together. What more could you ask for in any holiday season? Food, friends, community, fun.